Hey everyone, it's Pig for Life again, coming back with part two, hopefully the last part, but I doubt it, of this Lego Tallneck live build series. I don't know why I decided to do it. One thing I did notice yesterday, well, I was told yesterday, was that I totally missed these two little push here with the thumb things. This is how you open this up. You're supposed to push this in. I just ripped open the back. But yeah, clearly you were supposed to do that. It even has these things. But in any case, we're just going to go straight into continuing the build of the Tallneck. Yesterday, this is how far we got. Basically just the base, alloy, and I keep calling it the Watcher, but I actually don't think it's the Watcher. I forget what it's called in Forbidden West. But yeah, now we're going to actually get into the base of the Tallneck. So we're starting with bags, I think 4. Yeah, we'll start with 4. I don't know exactly what we're building, but we're going to go ahead and build that. So yeah, I'm just finishing off this series. I realized that when I'm not talking about a figure and reviewing it, I don't know what to really talk about. And trying to monitor the chat and answer questions while trying to build, especially a few feet in front of me, has been more of a challenge than I was expecting. So I don't know how live builders do it. I feel like I need like a second hand helping me monitor the chat or something like that. But right now, at least we don't have any viewers on, so I don't have to worry about that. I can just chat to myself and just keep going. I don't expect there to be very many folks coming in to watch me build this, but I'm having fun, so I'm just going to keep going with it. All right. So we're going with bag 4. I'm not going to show all the instructions, obviously, just because space-wise, it just doesn't really make a lot of sense. But yeah, one of the things that I tried to do when I got back to the Lego was be very particular about how I organize these. Like, you know how Lego actually prints Lego on top of the studs? At one point when I was building and really getting back into it as an adult, I was being very meticulous about which way these are all facing. And as you can imagine, that took forever to try to get them all facing a particular direction. I don't know why I tried to do that. It made no sense because based on the parts you have, you actually don't really have a lot of control on which way it's facing and so forth. So, um, again, I don't know why I did that, but it's kind of the OCD person in me. All right, let's see. Oh, I've never seen these type of pieces before. They look kind of geared, ratcheted, or something like that. Interesting. Yeah, it's my first time experiencing these, this part at least. It's a new part for me. All right. Yeah, I have no idea how long this build's going to take, so I was hoping that I might be able to knock it out very quickly, but realistically, given that just the base, which was 3 bags over there, took me over an hour, I don't imagine with 5 bags I'll be able to get this done very quickly. But who knows? We're just going to power through. I do want to at some point pick up the series again. I was saying yesterday that I was really highly anticipating the release of the expansion or theoretical expansion that hasn't come yet. When this game first came out, I was grinding so hard. I was playing nonstop, like 40 hours a week, something crazy like that, like a full working week of playing this game. Where are these parts? And I think I put like 130 hours into 100%ing it. So I was really into it. But the problem is, whenever I like drop a game or after I finish 100%ing it, and then it comes back with some expansion or something like that, it takes me a while to get back into it. So like I put in at least 200 hours in Breath of the Wild, but now my kids have gotten into it and they're playing it. And when I tried to play or help them, I don't know the controls and I just get like one shotted all the time now. It's kind of funny. Where's this last? Oh, there it is. Last piece here. All right. But yeah, same thing. Like I'm expecting God of War is going to be the next game I probably put a lot of hours into. That's supposed to be coming out next month, and I think November or something like that. And I 100% completed that. I think, except that the Trials world. I forget what it's called, Muspelheim or something like that. I don't even remember. But except that one, I didn't complete all the trials. I think I completed most of them, but I just got tired of doing it. And yeah, I fully imagine once I start playing that game, my muscle memory is completely gone on how to play God of War. But really looking forward to that game. That's another game I got really late. So I don't spend a lot of time dedicating a lot of time to specifically gaming, but once I get into a game, I just put all my heart and soul into it and play it for weeks on end. And I'm primarily a completionist. I won't say I have 100% everything, but most games I do. Like so I'm a PlayStation, primarily PlayStation player. And for example, like Spider-Man, I 100% in all of that. Miles Morales, one day came out, and so forth. What am I looking at here? And that's not this one. What? It's supposed to be a 5-piece. There we go. One of these. Oh, gotcha. Okay. And then we've got a 1 stud or 2 1 studs. But yeah, back-to-back days live streaming. That's super weird for me. Definitely don't do that very often nowadays. Oh, I haven't completed this. 2 more of these Geary pieces, which I've never seen before. Where are they? This one. This one. All right. Yeah, sorry if I'm not chit-chatting too much. Right now, we don't have anybody in the stream, so I feel a little bit more relaxed about not having to talk the whole time. But I'm guessing people who may or may not watch this on the rewind will find it kind of odd. Where? I need one of these. I'm sure it's here somewhere. Problem is finding it. I'm not going to be able to progress forward without this. So this is one of those awkward times where you guys are just watching me fumble through. Kind of like I did with the box yesterday, not being able to figure out how to open it. That's very odd. Cannot find it. It should be a 2-piecer. A 1x2. Is this it? No. Should be a lightish. Oh, here it is. Finally. All right. All right, and then this combines with this. I wonder what we're building here. Is this the head? This is probably the head. I can imagine this is the head. All right. Some other games that I played a lot that spent a lot of time on the last generation are the Resident Evil games. The remakes were really good. Really looking forward to the remake of 4. Um, to be honest, when the earlier ones came out, like 1, 2, and 3, I didn't play them a lot as a kid just because I was really scared of them. To be perfectly honest, I um, remember watching my cousin play, and I was just like, "This is terrifying. There's no way I'd be able to play this." So I basically just watched him continuously play it, but I still enjoyed it. But then as I got old, Resident Evil 4 was, obviously more of a action type as opposed to survival horror. So I found that easier to get into, and I enjoyed that a lot. So I'm really looking forward to that. That's probably like one of my, I think that was the first Resident Evil that I actually played all the way through to completion and really enjoyed. Um, I remember when it came out, it was very divisive. Some people really didn't like the deviation from the traditional survival horror, and even now, I think some people love it and some people hate it. Um, the Resident Evil series is another series I need to get back into. Like I never played 7 or 8, even though I own both of them. So I need to go back and play both of those at some point. All right. All right, so we're making progress. I think no, this must be the body because these must be the legs, right? But this is a lot smaller than I was imagining this would be for the legs or the main body. But then again, I guess it is pretty thin. So let's see here. Working with the 1 studs, and then these 2. Okay, these go on either side. And for those of you who are just joining in, I'm just building the Lego Horizon Forbidden West Tallneck. It's been a Lego that's been in my collection since they've released months ago, but trying to devote some time to doing it. So I figured, why not just shoot it live? I've never done this before, aside from yesterday when I started it, and thought it'd be a fun opportunity for some new content. I don't imagine it'll do that well, given that I don't typically do this, but it was also self-motivation for me to actually sit down and build it. And this is much easier, much smaller of a task than building the Lego Optimus, which I also haven't built yet, which I imagine will take several hours. So this will be a much smaller commitment than the Lego Optimus. So that's also a reason why I'm doing this one instead. But yeah, let's see here. A lot of folks yesterday were asking me what other Lego sets that I collect. I don't collect a ton of Lego, but I do have, very specific kind of genres. Mostly robotic stuff, obviously, like the Voltron. Really enjoyed building that one. But that one took forever. And then I do need to build the Optimus, like I said. And then the other ones are just real, like I said yesterday, mostly like Lego ideas. I really like those Lego ideas. I talked a lot about why I really liked it in the last live stream, but basically, I like the innovation and user community driven part of that. All right. But yeah, so I have a lot of like those. I'm big into general pop culture. I've had very eclectic tastes in what I read and what I watch. So I find that really interesting about me in the sense that I can generally talk pretty much about anything, but I have very shallow knowledge on everything, as long as it's pop culture. So that's why the chatter days we have so many different topics that we talk about, and I can talk a little bit about everything. But some of the guests have such depth in some certain topic areas that it's really really surprising to me. Like some of the wrestling fans, like they have deep set knowledge from 20 plus years of wrestling that they've been watching. Me, I don't do that, and I found it interesting because my cousin Paul, he was telling me how um, he and his wife, his new wife, recently started rewatching. No, it wasn't Paul. It was my cousin Jenny, and her husband, Chris. They started rewatching old. Um, oh, I don't think this is the right color. I think they want black, gray here. They've been watching the old Raw and SmackDown from back in the Attitude Era, which obviously was my favorite era, and one that I think is generally regarded as the most popular era. But they started rewatching that, and I'm like, wow, that's some dedication to rewatch some older content like that. But I guess, in the modern day, you have the luxury of like binge watching, 30 years worth of TV from really whatever interest area. But I really grew up. So I've mentioned this before in the stream. Pig for Life actually comes from the NWO for Life. I think I was in middle school when I came up with that name for my AOL online, or AIM, AOL Instant Messenger handle. So I was very much into wrestling back as a kid and during the Attitude Era. And then all the way through like college, I remember going to a lot of live wrestling events when I was in college with uh with my buddies in Baltimore. I went to school in Baltimore, and we would Raw and SmackDown would come to town. We would watch that live. Big Rock fan. Let's see here. Where are we at now? But hey Princeton, how's it going? I didn't imagine anyone would really sit here and watch me build all this, but I had a couple people yesterday, so thanks for joining. This is very slow and meticulous. I'm really just talking about anything because I don't have a lot to talk about specifically about Lego or Horizon. You enjoyed WF during the 80s? Okay, so I was born in early 80s, so I didn't watch a lot of that obviously as a kid, but rewatching it as an kind of like a middle schooler and adult, um, I remember having a lot of the toys and like those rubber ones that were like, I don't know, like 8 inches tall that were fixed. I remember having a lot of those, and I think there's probably still a bunch of those at my parents' house, if I'm remembering correctly, in the basement. It's kind of funny. One That's how I almost got back into collecting as well. I went back and looked at some of the Transformers and toys that I had at at my parents' house, and it was just kind of crazy. I had so many toys. I was spoiled rotten as a kid. So really anything that I wanted, I got as an only child. But between wrestling, Transformers, GI Joe, you kind of name it, I had pretty much everything I wanted as a kid. Um, which is not bragging. I actually look back at that and kind of self cringe on the spoiledness. But that's also how I guess why I have a lot of eclectic tastes and interests as an adult. Because, like I said, I got into a little bit of everything as a kid. Oh, you were born in the early 70s? Oh, gotcha. So you got a decade on me. So as I just turned 40 this year, you're hitting the half centennial. Is that what what they call it? But yeah, I remember like even things like Voltron and stuff like that. Transor Z. That's how I got into Mazinga. Um, so a lot of my collecting is thanks to just being spoiled rotten as a kid. So as an adult, like the things I collect are mostly robot oriented. I also had like, the Jetfire. I'm surprised I wasn't into Macross or Macross, yeah. Um, I'm surprised I wasn't really into that as a kid because I did have the Jetfire, but I guess what am I looking for here? How does this work? Oh, gotcha, okay. But yeah, I remember, obviously in the '80s, Hulk Hogan being a big one. I was definitely a Hulk Hogan fan, even, because he was around forever, so and I had mentioned, I think right before you joined, that's how I got my Pick for Life handle. Um, uh-oh, there's supposed to be another red piece. There's supposed to be another 1x2 red stud here, and I'm not seeing it. Red kind of stands out, so unless I misused it somewhere, I'm kind of in trouble. Oof, that's no good. Oh, no, it's not. I'm dumb. These were different steps. Never mind. Never mind. I'm dumb. All right, there we go. And then this goes on the bottom of this. Yeah, everyone was a Hulkamaniac back then. What are the cartoons? I think the '80s were the best cartoons and toy lines. Um, so I feel like '80s. I only really remember Transformers, GI Joe, um, He Man. Those were the ones I was really into. But I know there were a lot of other folks that were into the other ones like Mask and stuff like that. I remember having the main car with Mask. I think the one with the wings open up. I don't know anything about Mask, so I think that was the only thing I remember, but the other toys, the other shows, I really don't remember a lot about, to be perfectly honest. I do. I mean, I obviously remember a lot of '90s cartoons, but '80s. What other '80s shows did you grow up with, Princeton? Trying to think. What other '80s cartoons? Oh, I remember like Johnny Quest. Remember Johnny Quest? I remember thinking that show was super boring. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I remember watching that, being like, "This is like the worst show." But I know it was super popular, but maybe it was because I was younger at the time. I needed something that was more explosive-y and robot-y before to fully enjoy it. But yeah, I wasn't into Johnny Quest. You like Johnny Quest? I just remember. I don't even remember. I just remember the dude with the white hair, and then the Middle Eastern guy, Haji. Was it Haji? I think it was Haji. Yeah, but I don't remember much about that. And then like the other shows, I don't really remember. Like I said, '80s shows, since again I was born in the early '80s, so I was still in diapers, crawling around, as opposed to watching cartoons. And I guess that's true. I mean, it's kind of weird though, because I guess nowadays things progress so quickly that in a couple years things become so irrelevant. But I was born in '82, and I think the Nintendo came out in '85 or '86, '86 maybe. And so I was only like 3 or 4 at the time, right? But I remember that was my first console very distinctly, and playing that for a very, very long time. So, it's kinda interesting, right? The things that you remember even as a child, and I remember having that forever, the, uh the NES, that is. I still have my original NES. Like I was mentioning before, a lot of my stuff is still in my parents' house, and my parents don't live that far from me. I was just there last night actually, and yeah, my NES is still there, and I still have my zapper and everything like that. I still had like the what is that robot's name that you play Gyromite with? Rob. That's right. So, but yeah, I remember that. I feel like the longevity of the NES. Like, I remember playing that for a really long time. But then again, I guess in modern consoles, they also last a really long time nowadays too. Like the PlayStation 4 is still going on. I think it's been like close to a decade. Uh, Thundar. Yeah, see, I know Thundar and what he looks like, but I never watched the Thundar show. The only other shows I remember like kind of 80s stuff with like Hanna-Barbera cartoons, like Yogi and what's that panther? Snagglepuss. And I remember this because remember the Wacky Races or something like that? I remember that cartoon where it was like a it was like the Hanna-Barbera cinematic universe or cartoon universe, and all the different cartoon characters would come together and race like every week, and they would have different winners, and there'd be villains and heroes, and they all have their weird vehicles that were themed after them. Yeah, I remember that. Man, I love that show. I think it was called Wacky Races, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was called Wacky Races. But I really enjoyed that show too. And I forget who I was a really big fan of one specific character, and I don't remember who it was. And I would always like, really want him to win. And because they had so many characters and they had different winners every week, it was super rare for like him to win or him or her to win. And again, I don't remember who it was, but I loved Wacky Races. And I remember the villain with Muttley, the one that like had like the I can't even imitate the laugh, but he had that weird like laugh. Yeah, I remember Muttley, and I don't even remember the villain's name. I remember Muttley more than I remember the villain's name. Yeah, you remember Wacky Raper Super Friends? I never see Super Friends. Penelope Pit Stop's car. Yeah, right. See, all right, so I'm not the only one. I know there are only a couple of you in here, but it looks like the majority of us remember that, or at least from that time period. Yeah. I mean, I guess I was a Scooby Doo fan, so I think they were on that too. So I probably wanted the Mystery Machine to win a lot. Speaking of video games with like characters and multiverses, that's a show that kind of came. I felt like kind of came out of nowhere, and the whole Smash Brothers kind of type of game. I thought that was pretty crazy that is out and the free model and like the things they did do with that like Ultra Instinct Shaggy, like it's so random, but it is enjoyable and I haven't played it. Your first video game was Pong? Oh, hey TM. TM was TM and I have a group chat, Facebook chat with T Man, and yesterday I was like, he woke up and sent me the Phantasm, Fans Toys Phantasm or Mirage link, and I was like, oh yeah, my stream was telling me about it this morning, and he was like, you were streaming this morning? It was something like 8 o'clock yesterday morning, even earlier than today, and I was like, yeah, I was doing a random Lego build, and he was like, what the? And then he was like, oh, I'll go watch it. I'm like, no, you really shouldn't, because I don't think most people will find this very enjoyable, but more than the actual content or thing I'm reviewing, most of the times I just love doing the live streams just because of the comments that I get and the questions and the dialogue. Yeah, this is definitely gonna be long. But Pong, I mean, Pong still, I mean, obviously it's classic, but there are a lot of classic games that are still super relevant, like Tetris. Oh man, Tetris is still super relevant nowadays, and especially with the Tetris 99 and stuff like that. I got back into Tetris, and I think we were. Oh yeah, I think TM and T-Man and I were talking about maybe trying to get a battle together with one of the versions of modern versions of Tetris. But I don't remember which version it was. But we were thinking about doing that. I do want to do some more of the live stream gaming ones. Like we did that for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We goofed up on the audio, or I goofed up because I didn't know how to do the audio stuff on it. But that was still really fun. I really enjoyed that. I would definitely would be into doing more live stream gaming stuff as long as you can figure out the audio. But yeah, we did that with T Man and TM, and that was fun. I forget who suggested it. Somebody else suggested that we do another one with that with the Fall Guys, which is another like kind of party game. I don't know if you guys know the Fall Guys, um, but yeah, it's funny that they said that because yesterday I was upstairs at my son's room, and saw him playing Fall Guys with his friends. So I'd be playing the same game as my son. Maybe I can get him to get on stream. He's a like a lot of kids nowadays. He's an aspiring YouTuber slash influencer. I don't know if you guys know this, but recently that's become the number one like desired job of kids these days. It's not like astronaut or anything like that, or president, like firefighter, like when we were kids. It's literally influencer slash social media star. That's like the number one desired career. So I don't know what that says about our society. TM Review says that's terrible. I mean, I don't know if it's terrible, but it definitely is a sign of our times that but I mean, can we really blame them, TM? Because but can you really blame them? I mean, we're also YouTubers at age 40 plus, right? So I don't know if we can blame them too much. We're not really helping with that. But he said our kids are gonna be so messed up. I mean, I think that's just the reality of it. I mean, I'm sure our parents probably, to some degree, think the same thing of us, right? You know, my parents were blue collar workers. I imagine yours were too. They probably think that we're crazy doing this as like a hobby, YouTubing as adults, like talking to random strangers about toys. I think the more than the career wise that concerns me about that is just the psychological aspect of our kids growing up being super needy about needing strangers attention and affirmation from total strangers, and having them make such a make up such of somebody's self-worth. I think that's the scary part. I mean, the other day, the what's his name, Dream, who's one of the most popular streamers and has been hidden or had his identity kept secret for years. Um, he finally revealed his face, and it was like both positive and negative, right? Like he purposely didn't show his face because he was worried about, the impacts on his life and his family and so forth. And I don't blame him. And then even when he came out, like there were some people who were very supportive of that, and others that were like, "Oh, he's ugly," and I'm like, "Man, come on, guys!" Like all these fans potentially turning on him just because they showed his face and he's not like a model or something like that. I think that kind of stuff is crazy. So yeah. Anyway, I digress. Nobody's here to talk about some serious topics, but yeah, I don't even know how we got to that. But yeah, social media influencer. Welcome to the metaverse. Better talk about random strangers about toys than talking to random strangers about sex. I mean, I guess I don't know. But I mean, like, so for example, I talked about this with my family before. My cousins who are kind of the same age, 40 to 50s, and when we were growing up, or like right after, when we were growing up in our late teens and early 20s, online dating sites and stuff like that were very different, and there's a stigma to that it just really just doesn't exist nowadays, right? Like people were ashamed of saying that they met their spouses or significant others online. They would make up fake stories. I distinctly remember that, and distinctly remember kind of like the shame of the quote unquote shame of having to go online to meet somebody, and that in just not even a decade, I would say, the complete culture shift and change to that. I mean, again, it goes back to what I was saying before. Just the dynamics and the speed at which things change nowadays and are accepted and go out of favor, come in and out of favor, is just crazy. Things like Snapchat. Snapchat was super crazy for a while, and now it's like Instagram, and now it's like YouTube Shorts, and these things like live and die within the span of a few years, right? If they're lucky. Um, the longevity of things is definitely not I feel like it's not like how it used to be. But yeah, but my cousin and I were talking about like online dating, and we had already been married by the time like we felt like the stigma of online dating had already gone away at by that point. But you know, we're always like we were joking like, oh man, if we didn't get married so early, we could have ridden out the online dating thing and had a lot more experiences. But anyway, I digress. Again, weird off topic rant. All right, so I guess this is the main body, and I don't know where we're building here now. Yeah, let's just fast forward. Oh, it's still more of the body. Okay, so more of the body. All right, where are we at? Couple long pieces. I guess. Oh yeah, all right. But yeah, oh man, it's already 40 minutes in. I'm only on bag 5. Yeah, this is not going well. It's not going well. But that's okay. I'm still enjoying it, and these random conversations just with a handful of you has made this entirely enjoyable, so I have no regrets about that. What is going on here? Oh, this goes over the edge. Gotcha. Then we got these 2 tiles. Yeah, at some point I need to build my Optimus, but I've also been hesitating because I don't like the way the face looks, but I have been tagging um, a bunch of channels and like pages that give you recommendations on how to modify the face to look a little less derpy, as I would say. So I'll be ready once I start building it. I just need to, now that I have motivation to start with this build. And same thing with like my Gundam stuff. I have a backlog of Gundam stuff. It just, I gotta break the dam, just pull the trigger on one, and then I get really into it, and then I'll build like 8 of them in a row. Lego will probably take up the rest of my month with random builds that I haven't done yet, like the Optimus and so forth. I definitely won't be live streaming that because that is just gonna be way too many pieces to even try to hope in live stream. I mean, I saw a couple of live stream videos, and it was like a dozen hours or something like that. I'm like, there's no way. I mean, I wouldn't be able to focus for that long, and I definitely wouldn't be able to do that unless my wife and kids were somewhere else, like on vacation without me. There's no way my wife would allow me to do that. But an hour here or there is not too bad. All right. I need 2 of these. 2 of these. Oh, let's see here. TM says, did you see the X Transbot showed Abaddon Galvatron this morning? No, I didn't see that. Oh man, why is it that the days I'm doing random Lego live streams that there's news coming out? I mean, I've already said it before, but I think I've lost basically all faith in X Transbots. I'm no longer devoting my money to pre-ordering them. I'll watch your review, TM, and see what you think about it before I drop the money. Oh man, Princeton says, I think the best thing for me while in high school was hanging out at the mall and on Friday nights cruising down up and down Main Avenue doing streetcar racing. Wow, streetcar racing. No, I wasn't that cool, but I hung out at the mall a lot. I was definitely a mall rat, and that my first job was at the arcade at the mall. I think I was 15. I couldn't even drive there, so I had to I had to call my parents to pick me up. And yeah, over the summer, I would work at my parents' dry cleaners, which was so our mall. Most malls nowadays have like kind of a mall circle, a little roundabout that goes street that goes around. And one my parents' dry cleaners was on the roundabout, and I'd work, quote unquote, work on Saturday mornings on Saturday mornings and over the summer, helping out at the dry cleaners from like 7 until the mall opened at 10. And so I would work for like 3 hours just doing random things, whatever a middle schooler could do. And after I was done, they would give me like $10, and I would walk over to the mall because it literally was that close, not even a football field length away. And I'd walk over to the mall and hang out all day at the arcade. I would spend $5. Well, what? So the plan was I would have $10. I'd spend $5 at the arcade, and then I would have $5 left to go eat lunch at Chick-fil-A. And I remember I would go. It was always Chick-fil-A. I would always get Chick-fil-A, and I would get like the chicken sandwich combo, and it came out at that time to like four something, like 4.85. And so I was there so much that the ladies like knew me at Chick-fil-A and knew what I would get every single time. It was just kind of funny. But that was on good days. On bad days, when I was being like a degenerate and not managing my money well, I would spend like more than I was supposed to, more than my $5 for games, and then cutting into my $5 lunch budget. And I would either not be able to eat lunch, or I would have to um, I'd have to eat, like, something small. I wouldn't be able to eat at Chick-fil-A that day. Oh, man, those were good times. And then I was supposed to call my parents, some days when I was, like, working, and, I wasn't able to use the phone at the mall. I'd have to use the payphone. If you guys remember payphones, I don't even know if they even have payphones at the mall anymore. I mean, they probably do, but the secret tech was if you didn't have money, you would call collect. You do like 1-800 collect, and then it would ask for you to say, "This is a collect call coming from," and then you would have to speak your name, and it would record it and play it for the person on the other side so that he would know. So I would say, collect call from Henry, and then it would be like to my parents, "Do you accept a collect call from Henry?" and replay my recording of my voice or on my name. But I would be so grimy that I would instead of saying my name, I'd be like, "Pick me up at the mall," Yeah, or "Pick me up at Montgomery Ward," right? And so it would play for my parents as, "Do you accept a collect call from Pick Me Up at Montgomery Ward?" And then I would just hang up because that's all I needed to communicate to them. But it was such a such a scammy way of getting a free call, a free pickup call. Obviously, you can't have a full conversation, but if all you need to say is pick me up at the mall, uh, it was definitely short enough where you could just blurt that out. But yeah, I was a I was a good kid, but definitely scheming even back then. I'm sure I'm not the only one that did that. I gotta check. Has anyone done that as well? Oh, Princeton, your last name is Henry? Nice. Yeah, that'd be weird if my last name was Henry, if I was Henry. My middle name also starts with an H, so it'd be like Henry H. Henry if that was my first and last name. But thankfully, I would hope that if my last name was Henry, they would not name me Henry as well. That would just be weird. But yeah, somebody else must have done that collect call cheat. I can't be the only one that thought of doing that. I'm not even following the directions anymore. I'm just looking at the pictures and generally following. I'm sure I'm probably missing something here or there, but hopefully not. And it's hopefully not something they'll have to deconstruct and go all the way back on, because that would be terrible. Do I only need one of these? Okay. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Hey, Hey TM, when's your next review going live? I know you did an unboxing. You had to go by bike, said no phone call. Was gonna. I mean, I wouldn't be able to bike home. My house was only like maybe 4 miles, but there's no way they'd like let me bike home. Triple H from WWE, yeah. He's been doing a really good job since Vince McMahon. I don't know if people still watch, but Vince McMahon obviously has been embroiled in scandals um, about like hush money and affairs and stuff like that. So Triple H has been moved to head of creative over the last few months, and he's doing a phenomenal job. They're doing really great stuff there. So, um, as a wrestling fan, happy about that. They even did like a 25th anniversary. Was it 25th anniversary of DX, Degeneration X? The other Monday Night Raw, I think, which was cool. Shawn Michaels, probably my favorite wrestler of all time. Maybe second to The Rock. Yeah, probably. Man, it's hard because I was a big Shawn Michaels fan, like everyone else during his heyday, and then The Rock came along, and obviously he and Stone Cold basically drove the Attitude Era. So it's very hard to say which one I think is my favorite of all time. But Shawn Michaels is definitely one of my top two. If he's not number one, he's definitely number two. Also up there with my favorite wrestlers, definitely The Undertaker. Who else? Yeah, I don't. Oh, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. I know Princeton. We were talking about like '80s wrestlers. He's one that I loved. I think mainly because he was a Asian / Pacific Islander, and I like the mood. I like Muda a lot. Great Muda. Obviously, he was not as popular on the west side, in the Western Hemisphere, but definitely one of my favorites. I also, like I said, I didn't watch a lot of '80s wrestling just because I was so young, but I just remember all the toys. I remember like Coco Beware and Junkyard Dog, and I remember having the toys for all those. I mean, I don't know why I collected them because I guess I just needed somebody to fight Hulk Hogan, who was my main guy. I guess is this? Yeah, I guess this is this. It's kind of weird looking. I don't know what. It almost looks like a construction hat. The Honky Tonk Man. Remember the Honky Tonk Man? Let's see. Is Vince McMahon shit real or fake? I mean, more than likely it's real. I mean, he's had a long history of that. Oh, and your next one is X Transbots Dante. That's their Inferno on Monday, right? All right. Well, that's good. Anybody who's watching, TM will be doing Dante on Monday, which is tomorrow. Yeah, that's cool. We won so many Infernos, and honestly, a lot of them have been quite good. I think better than most would have expected on average, especially for a character that, if you think about it, is not complex, but I think it's hard to beat the official masterpiece though, just because of the engineering that they did. I mean, that was just crazy. The first time I saw that, I was like, "This is black magic. Like, how did they do this?" And if you watch TM Reviews, TF News Live that I'm usually on monthly with TM and T Man, we've been going through the G1 cast and talking about who are our personal representations of each season 1 character. And I think we just did Inferno not too long ago, and I think we all kind of agreed it's hard to beat the official masterpiece just because of the engineering. All right, this has to go down. But yeah, we're making our way through that list pretty quickly now. I wonder how much more we have to do of the G1 cast. We usually do a couple of them each episode, if we remember and if we have time. Unlike me, TM actually tries to be respectful of everyone's time and tries to keep it to an hour. Me, I just go for as long as I feel like. Yeah, the stickers. I feel like these stickers nowadays are not too bad. They're like plastic stickers, so not too bad. All right, so I feel like I think I got this correct. Hopefully. Yeah, this one's curved out, curved inwards. That one curved outward. Okay. All right. We still got a ways to go, but oh, so this is what we're building, kind of like the tile, the spine tile, which is cool. I know. Yesterday I think I was talking about VR and how I have a desire to get into VR a bit. And they were like, "Why? If you don't really." Horizon Forbidden West, Call of the Wild or something like that. They're doing a VR version on PSVR, which will be cool. So I'm thinking about that. Like I said, once I get into something, I get in pretty deep. So I'm a little concerned that if I get into VR, that's I'll be spending all my hours, and then also scared that my kids will start spending all their hours doing VR. They have enough screen time as is, so that is a minor concern. Here. But yeah, so yeah, I'm thinking about getting Jake the Snake Roberts. Yeah, Jake the Snake. He came out not that long ago, but I was talking to my cousin Paul about wrestling. Um, he is a longtime wrestling fan, way longer than me. He's a bit older than I am, but he's been wrestling. He's been watching wrestling for forever, and we're talking about Jake the Snake and how like he was dealing with his demons, and DDP helped him out get over that with his like DDP yoga because he came out like maybe I want to say like 15 years ago, and he looked terrible. He was really out of shape. Um, he looked like he was, fighting demons when he came out. And then it was only a few years after that that he came out again. I think DDP saw him come out, and then he called him up and was like, "Hey, I can help you out, get you back on track," kind of thing. And with his DDP yoga, he lost a lot. Jake the Snake lost a lot of weight. He, um, you know, kicked the habit, his drinking habits and stuff like that, which is cool. And then randomly, maybe a little known fact, DDP Yoga came on. What was it? Wait, something's wrong here. Something doesn't seem right here. He came on Shark Tank to try to get funding for. I feel like I did something wrong here. There's a 2, 1. Oh, that looks right. Oh, I see. Okay. But he came onto Shark Tank to get funding for his DDP Yoga DVDs, and he got turned down by all the sharks. Sadly. But apparently he's doing. I heard it is doing well. I said he's helped out a lot of fellow wrestlers. So good on him for that. I mean, to be honest, if you were to tell me that one of the wrestlers from that era was going to be doing yoga, I think the last person I would have thought would be DDP. It's kind of interesting, but he's super flexible. He can like raise his one leg up, like doing the splits and everything like that. So, I mean, good for him. Uh, Princeton says, "I wonder if somebody does VR for a long time if they have detrimental effects on the vision." I don't know, but they do not recommend it for children. I remember that. That's another reason why I haven't been doing VR in my household because I do have younger children. Is just turning 8. And I think it's around 8 years old that they say um, you can start doing letting them do VR and stuff like that. So I'm not sure. I mean, I gotta imagine, right? Just being that close to. I mean, I don't know, because they used to tell us when we were kids that being watching too much TV will damage your eyes, and I think they generally disprove that. I don't actually know, but I thought that was generally disproven to not be an actual fact. But who knows? I don't think I would take a chance with my kids, at least letting them do VR all day, every day. I am kind of nervous about what that would be because if you think about it, we spend a lot of time on. I mean, at least I do, spend a lot of time on the computer and the internet. And if you expand that to um, VR and the metaverse, as a lot of people are expecting the metaverse to be kind of the next big thing, um, you could, theoretically spend all your day in um, in the metaverse, and yeah, that would be a reason why you might damage your eyes just being in the metaverse all the time, but who knows? At this point, we're just speculating. I mean, I think it's crazy that people are just buying like metaverse land at crazy amounts of money. But some of those people, I mean, some of those people are probably the ones that are millionaires and billionaires now. The people that had said the same thing about like cryptocurrency and stuff like that. So who knows? Me, I'm always been pretty risk averse, so I only dabble every once in a while, but definitely not an early adopter of some of these crazier technologies, especially where I can barely afford land in the real world. Buying, spending money on virtual land. I think my wife would be pretty upset with me if I suggested that. Hey, honey, we can't move to a bigger house, but do you want to invest in some digital land? No? Okay, I'll see myself out. Even the notion of like what is this? Oh, I messed up. Even the notion of like buying homes, a lot of people think that's like kind of an antiquated luxury now. With the ever rising cost of the average home compared to the average salary not increasing nearly as much. So people are saying, the American dream of owning a home is no longer really that feasible for our children's generation. I saw some kind of crazy statistic, like, 30 years ago, the average household was only like $100,000 or something like that in the US. And now it's like 400,000 or 300,000. So it went up by like 300% compared to the average. Oh man, where's that? I think I might have made a mistake. There's a black triangle piece and I have a black kind of piece like this. I think I probably misplaced this. Oh no, I knew I was going to do that at some point. All right, backtrack real quick. Well, where could it be? There's only like a couple places with that. Here's two, so it can't be that one. I'm actually not seeing it. I might have to just press forward and then figure it out later. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to press forward without it. Oh no, no, I'm stupid. Oh my gosh, I literally had already put it on there. This is what being paid for life is. It's like one of those people who I remember when I was younger, we were on a field trip to a park, and I was going to pay for something, and then I was looking for my wallet, and I couldn't find it, and I was freaking out. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I lost my wallet! Oh man, I gotta go find it." And my friend was literally like, "Isn't that your wallet in your hand?" And I was like, "Yes, I'm stupid." So, kind of the same deal. I was looking for this piece when it was already on here because I was going out of order. All right, I think I'm good. Think I'm good. This goes here. This goes here. Oh, this is the neck. This is not the spine. This is the neck. Ah, gotcha. Okay. All right. So then I got this piece. This goes through. This goes through somewhere. It says bring this. Oh, I see. So this point. Oh, gotcha. Okay. So I got to put this in here. Which hole is it through? Okay, the top hole. This is really interesting. And it's supposed to go through the... Okay. I don't know how the articulation will work with this, though. No! All right, stick with me, folks. I know this is not particularly enthralling to watch me struggle. All right, there we go. All right, I got this side. And that's your cue to exit, yeah. Princess says he loses glasses all the time on the top of his head. Yeah, I used to have glasses, then I got LASIK, and I never turned back. It's definitely an expensive process, but it's probably the best investment I ever made in my life. I definitely would not go back. I would pay for it 10 times over. But I'm not gonna lie, it was a short but scary kind of surgery since you're awake the whole time. You got to be like conscious and mindful. They're like, all right, don't blink or don't look away. But at one point, your vision literally fades to black, and you're like, I don't even know if I'm looking away or not. It's like I literally don't know what I'm doing here with my vision. All right, so it looks like I'm done here with... Oh, and these were... I was wondering why these were off-angled, and then I realized in the game itself, when you climb these Tallnecks, spoiler alert, you use these as kind of stepping stones, I guess, climbing points. And so it makes it easier, obviously, if they're offset than if they are evened. But yeah, there we go. We got the body done. We're a little bit over an hour in. And we got through 2 bags. These don't look too bad. I wonder if I could speed through one more bag. Let's see what we're making here. I feel like we're making the thighs with this bag. Oh, all of the leg? Oh, that's a lot of pages. Oh, 2 of the hind legs. All right, we're gonna go for it. We're just gonna see how far we can get before I get yelled at by my wife and kids. So we'll see how far we can go. We're over an hour, and I really don't want to make this a 4-part video. So if I can get halfway through here and just finish up the last 2 bags next time, that'll be good. I haven't watched Star Wars Andor. You missed... TM is the really big Star Wars fan in our group. between me, T-Man, and TM. He's a really big Star Wars fan. Neither T-Man nor I have watched Andor yet. We're not as big a fan as TM, but I have been watching all the other like Star Wars shows. Um, and I've mentioned this before that I thought Rogue One. I don't know why, it might just be extremes, but some people either love that movie and said it's the best um, Star Wars movie, one of the best Star Wars movies that we've gotten, and some others like me said that I literally fell asleep. Not just me, I know at least 4 people that fell asleep during that movie. Like in theaters, not I'm not talking about at home on your couch. Like in theaters, I went with my cousin's husband, and we watched it together, and he and I both fell asleep. And I can almost pinpoint the exact time in the movie at the beginning where I fell asleep. It was when you met Forrest Whitaker's character. I remember that being when I kind of fell asleep. So apologies um, to those Star Wars fans who really liked um, Rogue One, but I did not enjoy it particularly. But yeah, and then I just joined a new company not too long ago. I want to say, what is this? Only about 3.5 months ago. And it was funny. I was talking to somebody else about that, and they literally said that they fell asleep as well. I don't know how it came up in conversation, but yeah, they literally said they fell asleep in that as well. So apologies, but I have been, because again, I've been reading. I read generally a lot about pop culture, blogs, YouTube channels, and stuff like that. Um, and what's it called? Oh, hey, Phil. But yeah, what was I saying? Now I lost my train of thought. Anyway, but I enjoyed the Star Wars series overall, but I'm not a huge fan. Like TM Reviews is like a huge Star Wars fan. Unlike me, I'm just like, oh no, I was saying that I generally keep up on pop culture, but I have heard that the Andor series is quite good, so it makes me want to kind of watch it. And it's funny that you guys brought it up because I think it was just it might have been literally yesterday when I asked T Man if he had watched it and to get his opinion on it. Because if I ask Sony TM Reviews, I'm not going to get an unbiased opinion on it. He loves it, so I can't ask him if it's good or not because he'll be like, "Yeah, it's awesome" or something like that. So I asked TM about it, I think yesterday or the day before, and he said he hadn't watched it yet either, which was surprising to me. But it was kind of surprising and kind of not, in the sense that there's so much content out now, it's hard to keep up with it all. Where's this piece? Put the opposite side. The show I literally just started watching because of T-Man is Steven Universe. I never watched that series before. I didn't have cable for a really long time. Where is this piece? And so I just started watching that. I'm at the very beginning, and it's kind of like Transformers animated for me in the sense that it's very slow in the beginning, but you can feel that it's building to something bigger. So I'm interested in that. It and T-Man has alluded to as much. So I'm trying to power through season 1 now, just getting into some of the parts where you start learning a little bit more about the larger universe. So, but yeah, if you guys really liked Rogue One, more power to you. But again, it's probably not an ideal one for me just because I'm not a hardcore fan. But I also have a strong opinion about The Last Jedi. I really like The Last Jedi, and I know a lot of Star Wars fans hated The Last Jedi. But the reason for me is I really enjoyed. I mean, there were definitely some parts that were awful, and don't get me wrong, like the casino scene. I think that was in that movie too. That specific movie, but But I really like the ending where, like, you saw the little boy with the broom, using the Force and everything like that. It kinda gave, the whole feeling that, anybody can be a Jedi, right? And it's not just about this one lineage of the Skywalker family, and they're the only ones that are special in this universe kind of thing, that kind of thing. So I really enjoyed that. I also enjoyed. I know a lot of people didn't enjoy it, but I also liked Solo. The problem is though that I don't like prequels in general, just because it's very hard to enjoy a movie where there are almost no stakes, right? Because I mean, Han's not gonna die. I mean, he's in Star Wars, so um, it's hard to raise the stakes in a prequel, which for me make it much less enjoyable. But yeah, I know not a lot of people are going to be watching this, but hopefully those that are watching don't get turned off by the fact that I'm not a hardcore Star Wars fan. They're gonna be like, unsubscribe. Oh, okay, so well, that was it. One die. All right, cool. Got one die done. That wasn't so bad. We'll get this one. I also watched. Yeah, like I said, I think I watched all of them, all the Star Wars shows, the sequel Star Wars. Phil says that there were bits and pieces I liked about The Last Jedi, but there were other parts that were like meh. Princeton is a hardcore fan. Oh yeah. Well, why did you come back? We were just talking about Star Wars though, TM. So I don't know why you came back, but they were asking about Andor, and I was saying that neither T-Man nor I have started that series yet. So if you want to offer your opinions of what you think of Andor so far, I think Princeton would be very interested in hearing your opinion on that. But like I said, I've been reading in general on blogs and stuff like that, and there seemed to be a lot of interest in it. So seems to be good. I might just watch it just based on the opinions that I've read about from others. Andor is the best Star Wars show to date. Ooh, that's high praise because Sony likes a lot of them. So, but Sony and I tend to have slightly differing opinions about the things we watch. So I don't know if that's something that's going to make me want to watch it right away. But at some point when I have a lull into some of the things I'm watching right now, I'll probably pick it up. It's actually kind of a slow period. That's why I picked up Steven Universe. Um, but yeah, if you think it's that good, I'll probably end up having to watch it. I'll probably catch up then. Did you watch the last episode of She-Hulk yet, TM? Anybody else? Oh, Princess says I agree with TM. Best Star Wars show to date? Yeah, there is just a lot of content. Book of Boba Fett, yeah, that was lame. That was a weak show, except for the Mandalorian episodes. And then Obi-Wan, I actually thought Obi-Wan was pretty cool. I mean, the Obi-Wan parts, I didn't like the Inquisitor lady. I thought she was pretty weak, to be perfectly honest. Um, but I thought the show as a whole was at least enjoyable. I like Ewan McGregor, so yeah. But I mean, you guys are saying it was, but then again, both of you also really love Rogue One, so maybe I need to take those opinions with a grain of salt. As I said, I'm not the biggest Rogue One fan. There we go. Yeah, but yeah, let me think about it. Let me think about it before I commit to watching. the entire series. But Andor's only a few episodes in, right? I don't even know how many episodes it's supposed to be, but didn't they release like the first three or something like that, and then they're releasing them weekly now. So maybe it's a series I'll pick up. Oh, sorry. Yeah, the fight between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan was epic. Yeah, that was awesome. We were talking about it at our Transformers get together the other month about when what was it? One of our locals, Razor Wire, um, he was talking about how it was not as good as he was expecting it to be, and they were joking about some of the fight scenes, how like he put the fire out before he dragged him through the through it and stuff like that. I was like, come on, man. But I liked it. I liked that show. Good enough. I didn't feel regretful having watched it like I did with most of Boba Fett. Yeah, Boba Fett was pretty disappointing to me. I also the fact that they basically undid some of the major revelations or major plot points of Mandalorian, like instantly brought back. Well, spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't watched it, but if you haven't, I mean, I don't know why you're on this stream anyway watching. Uh, but the whole like Grogu coming back already, like, come on, man. Like he literally just left. It was like not even like that he left them. It was like dropping him off at the babysitters and then picking him back up. A couple months later felt like. All right, the two hind legs are done, or two thighs are done. But I enjoyed the Black Hole and Dune. I haven't watched either of those, and I haven't watched. I think I did watch the one modern Tron movie. I don't even remember what it was called, but yeah, that those weren't for me either. I mean, I don't have a lot of love for that series, so. But I'm sure people who were fans of it and really enjoyed it. I wonder if they're gonna continue that. I thought they were trying to make that a really long trilogy or like series or something like that. I thought that was the plan for. Was it Tron Legacy? Tron Legacy. Oh, my kids and I watched that terrible Paws of Fury movie yesterday. I would not recommend. It has a lot of really famous people though. Like it had Samuel Jackson and Mel Brooks. I think it was Ricky Gervais was like the villain, stuff like that. But yeah, it's not very good. I would not recommend that. Luckily, I was only partially listening to it while my kids were watching it. I was not fully invested in Paws of Fury. It's about like a dog who comes to a land of only cats and wants to become a samurai. And Samuel L. Jackson is a samurai mentor that teaches him. And it was not good. Would not recommend. I mean, I would recommend if you want to just show your kids and have them not bother you for an hour and a half. You're talking about Tron, not many interested in that. Yeah. I mean, it was also really weird. The CGI just looked terrible. Like with what's his name? Something Bridge. Jeff Bridges. Jeff Bridges. Uncanny Valley type of CGI that just looked really weird. So, but nowadays with like deep fakes, I mean, like the deep fakes that we had in Mandalorian, no, the Book of Boba Fett with Luke. I mean, that was crazy. I was just like amazed at how good that looked. And then I randomly read, this is not, again, I read a lot and online, just pop culture stuff. And then at some point the other week, they were talking about how Bruce Willis was potentially going to be retiring from acting, but licensing out his face as like deep fake for other movies. I'm like, what? Is this for real? And I think they ended up debunking that, or they ended up backtracking on that, or something like that. But it was so random. They were like, "Yeah, Bruce Willis retiring from acting, but he's going to license out his face for deep fakes." I'm like, what? I mean, I guess at some point they can probably do that. Like the deep fake Tom Cruise looks really good. Oh, Kung Fu Panda. That, yeah, Paws of Fury is like a really, really, really crappy version of Kung Fu Panda, like a really crappy knockoff. Oh, speaking of Jack Black, though, have you guys seen the trailer for the um what's it called movie, the Super Mario movie? Are you guys excited about that? That has Jack Black who did the voice of Po from Kung Fu Panda. He's the voice of Bowser, which when I first read about that, I was like, I don't know about that, but yeah, he does a really good job of what we've seen so far or heard so far in the trailer. It was much better than I was expecting, so pretty happy about that. He might be like the saving grace of the movie, to be perfectly frank. I know everybody's like up in arms about Chris Pratt. A lot of hate for Chris Pratt. You barely even heard any of his voice. Seems like they're just going from like a generic like New Yorker Brooklyn accent or something like that, as opposed to the potentially very offensive Italian voice that we typically get from Mario games, where he's like "It's me," which is like, I think that would be, if we had a whole movie of him talking like that, it would be super annoying. So I get that they didn't want to do that, but yeah, Bowser sounds really good. Jack Black Jack Black sounds like he's gonna do it right. Oh, Willis's health. I mean, not being too good. That makes sense. I mean, he is quite old. Oh yeah, James Earl Jones. Yes, talking about licensing voices for future Star Wars movies. That was kind of interesting. Yeah, I like Chris Pratt. I don't think he's a bad actor either. Oh, yeah, yeah, and what is it? Something Michael Key as Toad. Yeah, I mean, there's also been, just like in general, a lot of folks being pretty upset that voice actors are being passed up for just like celebrities doing voices in movies now. Um, I don't I don't know where I fall on that kind of argument, because I do think voice acting is a different type of skill in general, but that's not to say that, an actor can't be a good actor can't be a good voice actor, or vice versa. Um, so I think when people are just like, don't hire celebrities to be voice actors, I feel like that's a little short sighted. That's like saying, don't hire actors to be stage actors, or stage actors to be um, movie stars or something like that. And a lot make those transitions back and forth. So I don't know that I really agree with that. I think it's definitely a certain unique skill set that you need to develop if you want to be good as a voice actor. But automatically saying that no, you shouldn't have a voice actor, a movie star as a voice actor, I feel like that's kind of short sighted, frankly. All right, did I get all these? I feel like I did this correctly. Oh my gosh, we're almost getting to an hour and a half. I need to stop soon because I can hear my wife and kids moving about upstairs, and at this point, they're probably going to want to do something with our weekend as opposed to me just sitting here playing with my toys. But let's see if we can power through this. All right, we're almost done though. And then I'll probably do one more session at some point. I gotta update the thumbnail too because I was too lazy to create a separate thumbnail for this, but I do need to do it at some point so that not all of these look exactly the same. But thanks Phil, and thanks Princeton for sticking with me. Personally, I've always been curious. Did you actually go to Princeton as your alma mater? Oh no, he already left. All right. Looks like he already. Oh no, you didn't. Okay. I'm not going to Chicago. I mentioned that. LA. I usually don't go to the LA one, but we'll see. I mean, it really depends. Lately, especially during COVID, I haven't been traveling much. But I may want to try to make it out to Toronto next time for sure. Toronto in particular is the TFCon that I try to go to every time since I've been starting to go to TFCons a few years ago. But I've been to Chicago so many times for TFCon that it's not one of the ones that is like a pressing one for me to want to attend. So, but I guess I should say the same for Toronto, but Toronto usually ends up having more like reveals and interesting things there. In general, I feel like the US one tends to have less in terms of reveals and stuff like that. So that's why. But TM Reviews is going to. He went to Toronto, I believe, and I know he's going to Chicago as well. He's been asking if I was going or not, and I was like, I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it. So yeah, Toy Dojo was asking me if I could come as well, but I don't think that's a reality. Especially with my new job, I only moved to my new company about 3 months ago, so I don't have a ton of vacation built up yet. And I already have some vacation planned for November and December, so I kind of need to preserve as much of that as I can. All right, we only have a little bit left. Let's try to close this out. All right, so this will go here, here, and here. Are either of you, if you guys are still on, are either of you going? Let's see. Oh, you were in the Navy. Oh, congrats. Thank you for your service. I'm actually doing some work with the US Navy soon with my current company. And I think TM does work with the Navy. Oh, you are? I'm going to the TFCons and was thinking about going to the one in Chicago. Okay, cool. Nice. I just have to make 2 of these. Oh, sounds like my family's doing something, so I need to hurry up and finish this. Let's see here. Looks like I just placed it on here. These are kind of like the shin covers or knee covers. And then 2 of these. I think these will snap on here and we'll be complete for today. And I think those are just some extra pieces. All right, cool. So we only have 2 bags left. We'll try to knock both those out in part 3. Thanks, Phil, TM, and Princeton for sticking around with me for the majority of this. You guys are real heroes. Appreciate it. Any of you catching up on the rewind? So this is where we've gotten so far. We've gotten part 1 done of the video series. This is part 2. We got the entire main body, the neck, and the hind legs. So what we'll finish off, I think, in in bag 7 is probably the front legs, and then bag 8 is probably the head and the tail or something like that. So thanks for sticking with me, guys. We'll be back sometime later in the next week or so to finish out this series. Again, I know it's not traditionally what I do, but I wanted to try something different, and I appreciate you guys watching. See you guys next time. Hope you guys have a good one.